The tale unfolds in Los Angeles in 1992. At some point of a time of social and racial anxiety, Mercer, a person navigating complex instances, gets a name from Child Protection Services. He has these days been granted conditional custody of his son Antoine. Regardless of the strained courting among them, Mercer is decided to tackle this obligation. After the decision, he heads to Antoine's room to wake him up for college. Awakened guy, it is time for college. In the meantime, in every other part of the metropolis, a guy named Reigen meets his pal Cop. Reigen proposes one very last heist. He believes this can be their threat to depart in their back of a lifestyles of crime. Again at residence, Mercer prepares breakfast for Antoine, but Antoine refuses to consume and stays remote. Anxiety fills the air among father and son. The radio with Inside the History reviews troubling information. A trial regarding Rodney King is all over the headlines. King, a black guy, become overwhelmed through a white police officer and numerous colleagues. The four police officials who have been videotaped repeatedly beating an unarmed guy. The case sparks outrage and grabs the eye of the Black Network. Mercer attempts to connect with Antoine. He hopes to shut the emotional distance among them. However, Antoine, nonetheless irritated, needs solutions. He accuses Mercer of forsaking him at some point of his formative years. He additionally says Mercer become absent whilst his mom had the accident. Mercer listens before everything. He's taking in Anand's anger, however, matters worsen whilst Antoine mutters an insult beneath his breath. Mercer, annoyed through the disrespect, increases his voice. You going to recognize me? He units a strict curfew for Anine. He tells him the unrest surrounding the Rodney King case is why it is essential. In the meantime, Reigen alternatives up his brother Dennis. They head to see their father, a person regarded for his harsh methods. This Friday night time of Pops is he prepared. Yep, Reigen makes use of the go-to to give an explanation for their deliberate heist. He wishes to display Dennis that the plan can paintings in every other part of Metropolis. Mercer visits a grocery shop at the same time as buying. He notices a collection of younger thugs harassing the Asian cashier. Their conduct unsettles him. He steps ahead and speaks flippantly, asking them to prevent bothering the woman. Watch your mouth, watch your mouth. However, as opposed to backing down, the thugs end up competitive when every of them pulls out a gun and presses it against Mercer's head. Earlier than the scenario gets worse. An older guy named DeVille intervenes. He pulls the thugs again and scolds them harshly for his or her moves. He reminds them of Mercer's significance to the network with Inside the Beyond. Realizing their mistake, Satan apologizes to Mercer immediately. At some point of the communications, Satan asks Mercer whilst he become launched from jail. Mercer replies flippantly, approximately 6 months in the past. 6 months. He says he become launched 6 months in the past and is now living a quiet lifestyles, looking to begin over on the identical time. Reigen takes his father to a manufacturing unit. He lays out the info of a excessive stakes heist concentrated on a secure grand with $10 million really well worth of platinum. Reigen optimistically explains the plan. He stocks layouts and insider tips furnished via way of means of a supply on the manufacturing unit. He describes the secure as strong and covered via way of means of a sophisticated alarm device. If the alarm is going off, a metallic cage locks the secure. Absolutely, this makes gaining access to it nearly not possible. Reigen offers his plan with self-assurance, but his father nonetheless has doubts that is simply out of our league. It's simply over our heads. He thinks the plan is too bold. He questions how they are able to get beyond the factory's tight safety and more than one surveillance cameras. The dismissive comments from his father deepen his frustration, but Reigen remains silent. Without beginning an argument, he drives the lower back domestic. In the meantime, Mercer is likewise on the manufacturing unit. He works there and is visible collecting his get right of entry to card and keys on the safety checkpoint. He talks in short with Joseph, the pinnacle of safety. Their conversation touches at the Rodney King trial. Joseph stalks his worries, approximately rising tensions with Inside the Network. He predicts chaos if the jury guidelines towards the black sufferer. Mercer starts to evolve his shift and the tale shifts lower back to Reigen and Dennis. Reigen remains disenchanted via way of means of their father's rejection of the plan. In spite of this, Dennis remains via way of means of his brother's facet. He affords assist and enables Reigen live centered. Later that day, breaking information reviews the jury's choice. The officials concerned with Inside the Rodney King case are declared now no longer guilty. The decision shocks the black network and sparks outrage. Protests ruin out throughout Los Angeles. The state of affairs escalates rapidly, main to sizable violence and chaos. Antoine comes immediately domestic from school. He's greatly surprised whilst he sees the riots spreading close to their community. A liquor safe is being looted nearby in the residence. The TV shows scenes of the unrest. The footage highlights the large scale of the protests on the identical time Reagan watches the information. He notices the police suffering to deal with the riots. It moves him as the correct second to perform the heist even as law enforcement is distracted. Seizing the possibility, Reagan calls his father. To his wonder, his father concurs to continue with the plan. Nobody minding the save. In the meantime, Mercer and the opposite factory employees are dispatched domestic early for their protection. The control advises them to keep away from the unrest and live secure. Reagan quickly hears from his source on the factory. The source tells him that staff is decreased and safety is lighter than traditional. Seeing this because the ideal possibility, Reagan gathers Dennis and Speedy actions to execute their plan. Each one of these officials from the down the latest struck on their manner. They forestall at Copeland's residence to select out him up Copeland's spouse, who's closely pregnant, issues approximately his involvement. He attempts to reassure her and urges her to live secure within the residence earlier than leaving with the group again on the manufacturing facility. Mercer grows an increasing number of involved. Approximately Antoine's protection. He explains to Joseph the top of safety that his domestic is in a by and large black community, and with the riots occurring the place has grown to be very risky. Joseph knows Mercer's subject. He concurs to permit Mercer and Antoine live within the manufacturing facility for protection. In case you and your son need to join me, I'll be all proper with Sim. Meanwhile, Reagan is going to choose up his father. He notices that his father has introduced two employed thugs for safety. Reagan, already pressured, will become annoyed. Together along with his father's selections on the identical time, Mercer navigates the chaotic streets. Rears are anywhere. He's searching out Antoine whilst he receives domestic. He unearths the residence empty. He right away begins evolved searching for his son. Reagan's crew movements ahead with the plan. Dennis drives the van to the manufacturing facility. Enter. Joseph feels bored while looking the surveillance cameras. He makes a decision to take a stroll and patrol the constructing outdoor. Reagan chases and restrains the handiest safety protect on the front. The group drives their vans instantly via the factory's main front. Believing the constructing is empty, they with a bit of luck head via the loading docks. Their assumption proves incorrect. They encounter Joseph's status close to a merchandising system. Reagan attempts to preserve the state of affairs calm. He asks Joseph to transport apart and keep away from problem. You fellas picked the incorrect location to rob, but earlier than Reagan can escalate, one and all his father's employed thugs acts impulsively and shoots Joseph. Reagan threatens the thug in retaliation. The thug unshaken counters. Together along with his personal danger, the disagreement almost spirals out of managed. Total intervenes. He reminds all of them in their shared aim, the platinum they got here to thieve with. Tempers extremely cooled, the thugs disable the factory's TELSL smartphone traces and surveillance structures. They then use a forklift to attain a secure room and start placing up their system to crack the secure. In the midst of all this, Mercer in the end unearths Antoine. He spots him status still outdoor, a grocery shop being looted through neighborhood rears. Furious and relieved on the identical time, Mercer grabs Antoine through the collar and pulls him far from the chaos. Without pronouncing an awful lot, he leads him to the vehicle on the manufacturing facility. The thugs begin drilling into the secure with dedication. Unbeknownst to them, Joseph regains consciousness. Notwithstanding his accidents, summoning his final energy, he drags himself to the protection panel and presses the emergency button. This triggers the mechanism that begins evolved producing the steel cage round the secure. Reagan reacts speedy and drives the forklift ahead to dam the cage from sealing absolutely with inside the chaos. Copeland by chance receives his leg stuck beneath the forklift's the front tire. The burden crushes his leg, inflicting him mammoth ache. Reagan panics and attempts to opposite the forklift to loose his friend, but his father coldly refuses. He insists that reversing the forklift could motor the cage to drop and ruin their complete heist. You ain't getting him out from beneath the fork. Annoyed and irritated, Reagan lashes out at his father. He shouts curses at him, blaming him for constantly being egocentric and unhelpful. In reaction, orders the thugs to steal the forklift's keys. This makes positive Reagan can't opposite it. In the meantime, the alarm precipitated via way of means of Joseph reaches the government. An air patrol helicopter is dispatched to research the scenario on the manufacturing unit. Alternatively, Antoine attempts to break out from automobile. He runs closer to the ongoing protest protests he feels the urge to be part of the chaos. Speedy pulls him again into the auto. He stops him firmly. Mercer explains that violence isn't the solution to troubles which have lasted for goodbye. He attempts to make Antoine see that the protests are best harming their personal community. The protests are playing into what the government anticipate. Again at the manufacturing unit, the thugs disable the alarm via way of means of slicing their final system connections to ensure Joseph won't intervene. Once more they shoot him as soon as more, this time fatally. With Joseph out of the manor, they retain their efforts to crack the secure. Mercer and Antoine come across a traumatic scene. A set of black men is terrorizing a harmless white couple. Out of right here, Mercer pulls over, receives out of the auto and steps in. He makes use of force to subdue the institution and helps the couple escape. He urges them to leave Speedy and guarantees their protection before returning to his automobile. Again on the manufacturing unit, the robbers put together to apply all their sources to blow open the secure, but their plan involves an abrupt pause as a chopper flies above them. The helicopter officials test the region round the manufacturing unit, however locate not anything suspicious. Believing the vicinity to be quiet, they determine to fly away. In the meantime, Mercer and Antoine are stopped via way of means of police officials implementing the curfew. The officials behave with prejudice. They pull Mercer and Antoine out of the auto and seek them without motive. Close-up hail. Even though they locate not anything incriminating, the officials launch them without apologizing. The experience shakes Antoine. He witnesses the BL indifference and mistreatment firsthand. Again on the manufacturing unit, the robbers open the secure with explosives. Interior, they locate the platinum. It makes the millionaires right away. Reagan steps away to put together the van for his or her escape. Dennis is going to the restroom to ease the blood off his arms after the incident with Copeland. Across the equal time, Mercer arrives on the manufacturing unit with Antoine as they method. Mercer notices the principal protection is lacking. This feels uncommon to him. No matter his suspicions, he enters the constructing and tells Antoine to visit the restroom because the boy mentions he wishes to apply it. Internal, Antoine's unexpected appearance startles Dennis. He instinctively points a gun at him. In the meantime, Mercer reveals Joseph's dead frame. Greatly surprised and indignant, Mercer grabs Joseph's gun and actions cautiously through the manufacturing unit. Quickly the thugs spot Mercer and open hearthplace. He narrowly escapes and begins looking for Antoine, but he realizes his son is now lacking. Determined, Mercer rushes to the loading dock and shuts off the electricity to advantage. A bonus over the thugs using the chaos. Mercer engages one of the thugs. He overpowers him and knocks him out. Then Mercer runs lower back to the loading dock. There he sees Reagan seeking to park the van for the getaway. Mercer ambushes Reagan and knocks him subconscious with one punch. He drags Reagan away to interrogate him. In the meantime, Dennis takes Antoine to his father. Questions Antoine in the front of Copeland. Copeland is in top-notch shape after dropping his leg, which needed to be amputated. His cries grow louder with each passing second. Mercer desires to recognize the robbers' plans. He questions Reagan, however receives no useful facts. Mercer begins a valve to piece matters collectively. He realizes they want the platinum. He sneaks into the secure room and sees Al threatening his son. Copeland's screams grow to be an excessive amount for Al to endure. In a merciless act, he shoots Copeland numerous instances, killing him. This brutal act leaves Dennis and Antoine in surprise. Antoine convinces LOL that he only got here to the manufacturing unit to discover his lacking father who works there. His explanation alongside together along with his sincerity actions L enough to allow him move unheard. Alas, the thugs go back on the worst possible time. They file to LOL that a person has taken Reagan. Angered with the aid of using the information, LOL turns into suspicious of Antoine. Stop. He calls the boy lower back and accuses him of mendacity, approximately his father. His anger rises. Speedy. He comes to a decision to apply Antoine as bait to get Reagan to preserve the boy from escaping. He continues Antoine near and sends the thugs to test at the van. The thugs look into the automobile and discover that the van's rotor is lacking, making it motionless. In the meantime, Mercer escapes escapes from the secure room. He attempts to signal a patrolling helicopter for assist. No matter he's determined, tries to wave it down. The helicopter flies away without noticing him. Mercer gathers himself all at once. One of the thugs ambushes him from in the back. Of a fierce combat breaks out. The thug needs the stolen rotor. Understanding it's Miles' head to get the van strolling once more. Mercer refuses. He retaliates and the combat escalates. Mercer manages to seize his weapon and shoots the thug. The effect sends the thug crashing via the secure room's glass roof. He lands lifelessly in the front of Lou and Antone. Mercer quick returns to Reagan and ties him. He sees the beaten and restricted guy and feels some sympathy. Mercer is aware the ache of having a father so heartless. He reveals a surprising fact: Lil simply killed a black member of his crew in the front of his son. Reagan realizes it need to have been Copeland, his near pal. The revelation turns him in opposition to his father. In the meantime, Lil and any other thug pour acid over the vault and numerous objects within the room. The chemical compounds smash any proof. They pack the platinum bars into baggage and prepare for his or her breakout. They finalize their plans and start transferring out someplace else. Den sits down with Antoine. He attempts to collect facts, asking Antoine if he is aware of wherein Reagan is. Probably. Antoine swears he would not understand whatever. Lil realizes time is strolling out. He communicates with Mercer over the radio and proposes a deal. Mercer need to come to the loading dock for and trade unarmed. Rajan quick warns Mercer that isn't ice. He explains that his father never leaves witnesses alive. Antoine's presence makes him a target. Information the stakes. Mercer creates a counter plan. He convinces Reagan to cooperate on the loading docks. Dennis masses